I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna make sure that it's working before we start. It's really annoying. I had the same settings yesterday as well, but I don't know why today it just wouldn't even stream. Oh, it's okay. It's working, I think. Okay, so I've got my very cash money of me to do a full flight. I actually don't really get money from this. Okay, just give me a moment. I'm gonna put the link of the IFC onto the... Okay, so it seems like the link is up. I'm just gonna quickly put in the flight details and we can begin. Here we go. So here's the flight details if you're interested. Hello Leonardo, hello Whale, hello Bye Charles, hello Jared, hello Daniel. He's right next to me right now, Daniel. Hello Preems. Hello, I'm out of ideas. Okay, so is everything coming up good? Just let me know if everything is showing up well or not. Today we'll be flying 38,000 feet. It will be our cruising altitude. Here's the routing. Okay, so I think everything is coming well. I'm just gonna check once again on my browser. And I'm gonna have to get rid of this, the other flight that we have, because the settings didn't work. So I'm gonna quickly change a few things, and we should be up in about 5 minutes. So currently we have the live stream as well is also scheduled right now, but of course because of the whole OBS thing I have to make a new one, which is why I'm keep reading the chat. What server? We on the training server. Training server, Helsinki. EFHK is the airport. Training server. Okay, so one moment, I'm going to quickly go to my YouTube studio and change one thing with the live thing. By the way, if you guys are interested in the playlist, I'll give you the link later. I don't think anyone is, but if you are, I will happily give the link later on. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of the old. So I'm going private for now, so I don't have to deal with it. Alright. Okay. So I'm gonna change some stream settings real quick. So change the thumbnail and everything. So just give me 2 minutes for that, please. So anyways, how's everyone doing? Looks better with the updates. I haven't played the AvGig. Is that Pratham? I'm not too sure. Getting those Instagram notifications, yep. I couldn't read them right now, but I guess we'll find out what it is. Anyways, just give me 2 minutes. I'm just trying to add all the live stream to playlist and everything. So anyways, thank you to everyone who has showed up already at the airport. Our flight time today will be about 2 hours 45 minutes. Okay. If somebody's setting if the OBS live stream is so so this changes actually entertainment, so I have to just change the settings. Alright, so how's everyone doing? Rook. Yeah, we are waiting for you, don't worry. How much does global cost? Depends where you are. I'm in Australia right now, and over here it costs $15. Depending on which country you're from, it will be different. So in the USA, it will be $10. Anyway, so this live stream basic settings are up. Okay. Okay, so I think we're pretty good now. We're looking good. Now we just need to get 3 people in, and we'll start our journey today to London Heathrow. So let's start up the cockpit lights. Nav, well, we don't need nav right now. Seat belts, no smoking. Cargo pods open. On your birthday, nice. $80 for yearly. Not $15 a month. Anyways, and also please keep in mind that there is a 30-second delay. Wow, we got so many people today. Compared to yesterday, I was a bit disappointed, to be honest. But that's my own fault. But today, if you look at it, we have a lot more. I guess we'll find out. So you're looking at, yeah, there's more people than yesterday. I'm really happy about that. Thank you so much. Anyways, tell me if you can hear everything properly, if you can hear my voice properly, or if you even understand what I'm trying to say, because I know not everyone can understand my speech. 38,000 feet will be okay, I can wait a few more minutes. So anyways, if you guys want the details to this flight, just go down to the description, and over there you'll see an Infinite Flight community link. Click on that link. Over there you get the flight plan, you get the cruising altitude, you get the profile and everything that you want. So everything's right there. Okay, thank you so much, Natty, for telling me if the audio is coming up. When could we do a live flight on Expert Server? The reason we don't do a live flight on Expert Server is because I did one from Dubai to London, and we had 3 planes on the runway taking off at the same time on Expert Server, and like I don't want people to get banned from Infinite Flight on the Expert Server, which is why we don't do Expert Server, because I don't really think a lot of people that come to the streams will be able to like follow the rules, which is why we don't. change the gate. We already had the gate. Anyways, I think we'll get started now in about 2 minutes. And we'll be taking off from runway 4. What is all this Instagram stuff? Mexico City to Amsterdam. Okay, please don't spam. Please don't spam, but okay, Mexico City to Amsterdam, that's a great idea. I'll definitely do it in the future. So I'm thinking of doing live long haul flights. And anyway, so Daniel was the mod, right? Hey Vivek, how are you? We played quite a bit of Clash Royale, sorry, together. Hello Daniel, welcome back to the stream. I'm seeing that you're being more active on the streams now, which is awesome. Oh, okay, it's Pratham, as you can see on the A350. Okay, so we're gonna start pushback now. Make sure we have enough fuel for today's flight. I think the block fuel was 28,000 feet. Okay, so looking good. All right. Okay, got so many people today. So flight plan is 2 hours 45 minutes. TTV, laugh. Can I speak हिंदी? हिंदी बोल सकता हूँ. बाद में बोलूँगा और कुछ. Okay. Can't push yet. So I've disabled all the notifications. So I have no idea what he's trying to say. I guess I'll find out when I look at the iPad or something. So anyways, I guess we'll start pushing back. Although we have to go the other side to runway 4 right. Okay, I'm going to request again so I can get my runway I want. They turn off. Nav on. I guess you can also turn on the beacons because in about 2 minutes we will have thing. Okay, awesome. 38,000 feet will be our Where do I live? I live in Melbourne, Australia. Okay, so we're gonna have to go to the other side, so I don't know how we're gonna get to the other side. Okay, I'm gonna start pushing back now. Okay, seems like he's offline. Okay, we're gonna start pushback. Okay, trim to 1%. Okay, one of the things I hate about OBS is I couldn't see how many people are watching the live stream. I'm trying to figure out how I can do all those things as well without having to have a separate screen up. Why is this British Airways moving? Please let me go. Come on. Thank you. Thank you so much. Alright. So today we'll be flying off to London. Okay, I'm getting to the runway. Shri, my name is Rishi. My call sign, if you're looking for that, is also Rishi Heavy. And my name in Infinite Flight is Pocket Rishi YT. Just so everyone knows that I make YouTube videos. What runway? Natty Dread. Runway 4 right. 04 right. How much traffic? We've got 3, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 planes and 9, including mine. Because I'm going to reduce the audio from the age 18. So time to push back. So not push back. Am I a friend of Aviator's Hub? Ah, yes, I am. I'm pretty sure it was you yesterday who told me to do a collaboration with him. What's my occupation? I'm a student. Which is why I can make these videos, because I have a lot of time to do nothing. Alright, so now it's time to get our flaps up. Turning on engine 1. I'm gonna wait for until it gets to 1. Just turn it on, doesn't matter. So I'm gonna keep the HUD on so I can see where we're going. Why is there a lag on my TV screen? Oh, that's because there's a lag from the live stream as well. I'm currently mirroring my screen from my phone to the... Yes, it's you. Yeah, so I do an hello Ratul, welcome to the stream. I will be doing a Air India VA flight as well soon. Hello Igvila. Okay, anyway, so let's get started today. We're gonna taxi. Upgrade to X-Plane 11, I wish, but I couldn't because I have a 9-year-old PC. Okay, let's go. By the way, all of these songs are copyright free, so if you like it, let me know. I'll give you the Spotify link. I'm gonna make sure we are lined up with the Sorry, I'm gonna speed up a bit. Oh, you passed in maths. That's good. I hate maths. I think it was my second weakest subject. Well, I guess my weakest subject. Munshi. Well, I know the Indra from the Air India one. Okay, slow down. Oh, it's coming at 40 knots. Okay. Hopefully no one crashes into each other. I hope that doesn't happen today. Alright, so quickly I'm gonna see how far we are going. So look at the lag, like I switched to the HUD and there's a lot less lag today. VGHS, which airport is that? I think, which VGHS? I'm guessing it's Guwahati airport. I'm not really sure which airport that is. Sorry. Depending on the duration, we can do any flight. So I'm gonna increase the music a bit. I didn't take maths. Yeah, maths is annoying. But I guess it's important. So anyways, if anyone wants to take off before me, you're more than happy. Oh, sorry. You're more than welcome to take off before me. So I'm gonna go to the far end. So anyone who wants to take off before me is more than welcome to do that. Alright. So there's quite a bit of lag on my phone screen as well. Whoa, it's coming 27 knots. Taxi at 20 knots. Okay. Oh, no, I have to go forward. Got so many people today. It's amazing. Okay, gonna calibrate. We could set it to current time, but I'm not gonna do that. And anyways, if anyone wants to take off before me, take off. Since we're approaching the runway, I'm gonna turn on my strobes as well. Even though in the daytime you don't really need strobes. Currently I'm using my phone today to stream. I have the iPhone 7 Plus. So I'm today using that to stream. What's my best plane? I'm guessing it'll be my favorite plane. The A350. I couldn't get enough of it. I'm gonna hold short, 114 right. If anyone wants to take off, please take off. Am I part of AVA? Yes, I am. Hello, Sharma Jika-san. Welcome to the stream. So is anyone gonna take off? Anyone can take off if they want. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to take off. Okay, where are we going? I'm pretty sure I can say I'm pretty sure it's mostly to the west. Okay, you want to take off first? Okay, no worries. Take off then. You can go in line. I'm going to hold short then. Hello, Asima. Welcome. Am I going to stream the Sunday event? Probably not. I'm usually... Oh! Okay, I'm going to hold short, 114 right, but I'm going to line up anyways. Okay, anyways guys, there's a lot of questions. I'm sorry I couldn't answer them, a lot of them. I'm just going to wait until... Hello, Mufadel Hakim. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Garrett. Did you guys want me to change the music or anything like that? Let me know. And also AWA, we're going to do a lot more AWA flights. So I have a few AWA flights coming up. Kolkata to Seoul, Delhi to Wuhan, where the coronavirus is originated from. And also we're going to be... There's another flight, I forgot which route it was. Come on, take off. I'm just waiting for this, for Natty, I think. Captain Moscow, please take off. Okay, I'm gonna line up anyways. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna line up now. Hello Tanishk, it's been so long. It's been so long since we last talked, but welcome back to the stream. Okay, if he wants to go first, he can go first. Okay, he's talking about the Indigo Airlines VA. No worries. We'll also do one for Indigo. I'm also part of that VA. What do you want from Australia? I should have done ILS so I can line up with the runway. Okay, I'm gonna wait until he is 2,000 feet. Okay, I'm doing well, Tanishk. How are you? Also, guys, I'm sorry there's a 30-second delay in the stream. So sometimes it will take me time to... Anyways, how far is it? Turn on the landing lights. Why don't I try X-Plane? The reason I don't try X-Plane is because I don't really have a good computer. I actually had the X-Plane subscription for 1 month, but I didn't even try it out. Okay, I'm gonna take off now. Okay, Alan Walker Spectre, no worries. Okay, starting a takeoff roll. I'm gonna shut up for now.
Helsinki Vantaa Unicum. Speedbird 284 is taking
So I'm going
off
to
runway 4 right.
85%. I'm gonna wheel up at about 160 knots, which is a bit too fast, but I don't want to have a tail strike. Alright, rotate. Gear up. Right, anyways,
Helsinki Vantaa Unicum. Finna 952 is taking off runway 4 right, remaining in the pattern.
I'll go parallel takeoff. That's awesome.
Right heavy is taking off runway 4 left, departing west.
Oh, that's awesome. All the best for your exams. I had my final exams in November.
Helsinki Vantaa Unicum. Finna 1331 heavy is taking off runway 4 right, departing west.
Okay, so we're gonna follow the flight plan. And what else? Let me read the chat, see if I missed anything. Yes. Okay, I guess we'll already start. So I'm just gonna put it on nav now. I know you're not supposed to do that, but it's just a bit quicker and easier if you put it on nav.
Helsinki Vantaa Unicum. November 643 Bravo Kilo is taking off runway 4 right, departing west.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go a bit slow at about 230 knots, so anyone who wants to catch up could catch up, which is still a bit too quick, but yeah, 2020, and then yeah, I got it. Do current time. The reason I'm not doing current time, if you want to see, is because this is the current time, and you wouldn't see anything. It's currently 6 in the morning in Finland. So I'll have to make it like, so I'll just make it 7 in the morning, so you can still see the city and everything.
Helsinki Vantaa Unicum. November 643 Bravo Kilo is taking off runway 4 right, departing west.
Okay, this is an awesome flight. What I might do, I might make a time lapse of this flight. Why is the next event I should originate in India? Yes, I was thinking about it. The reason I did this flight is because I don't have any European flights coming up anytime soon, which is why I did Europe. Otherwise, I had other plans as well. Oh, yeah, abort your takeoff. Why? What do you want?
Helsinki Vantaa Unicorn.
Anyways, now I'm gonna slow down to 2,000. And so once we're about 10,000, we should speed up to 280 knots. And then we'll go at Mach. Food. Australian food.
Helsinki Vantaa Unicorn.
I mean, it depends what you want.
Taking off runway 4 right.
There's a lot of chocolates and stuff. There's also Lamingtons. There's quite a bit of food. I don't know. You don't have enough fuel because you forgot. Don't worry. We can. Okay, I've turned off my landing lights. Okay, just give me one moment. We're gonna quickly check out the cockpit. You can see the fuel cluster and everything. So hopefully everyone keeps an eye. I'm gonna speed up to 250 knots. We still have ground, sorry, we still have planes on the ground. Do I take flight requests? Of course I do. Handling an aviation account is hard. There's really only a few of us interested in this kind of content. It is true, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's a hobby for all of us. So it doesn't really matter if there's other people or not. And also, let's please ask. So Atul wants to ask a question, please ask. And also keep in mind that there's a 30-second delay with what you are saying in the chat and with what I'm answering. So you will have to wait a bit. Oh, okay, I forgot to retract my flaps. I'm going to speed up to 280 knots.
Helsinki Vantaa Unicorn. Finna 1331 Heavy is taking off runway 4 right, remaining in the pattern. Helsinki Vantaa Unicorn. Finna 1331 Heavy is taking off runway 4 right, remaining in the pattern. Helsinki Vantaa Unicorn. Finna 1331 Heavy is taking off runway.
Oh, Pratham is still on the. Oh, it's just taken off. Where's your pocket? Did I get your DM on Instagram? Okay, I probably did, but I haven't been able to check it right now. Hello, Pink Teas. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Joe6. Where's my pocket? I don't know what that means. Can I stream on iPad? Yes, you can stream on an iPad without having a laptop. You can use Omelette Arcade. Okay, so today's flight will take us from the south of Finland over, I think it's called the Bering Strait. Pocket Vicious of Pocket. Ah, okay. So Pocket is from Pocket Planes. I used to play that game a lot in my previous videos, so if you go to my channel, you see my early uploads. I made a lot of videos on Pocket Planes. So anyways, talking about the flight route, we're gonna also go to through the south of Sweden, which is Malmo and Helsingborg, until going to Copenhagen and Denmark, come into Germany over Kiel. Hello Electric Galaxy, welcome back to the stream. I'm doing good, how about yourself? So we're going to Germany and then we're going to the Netherlands, over Amsterdam before we cross the channel into London. So Pocket Planes was a 2012 game on having your own mini airline, I guess. Okay, I'm doing good, Andrew. How about yourself? Could we customize merch? Oh man, I do like the idea of merch, but the reason I haven't made any merch yet because I don't really think anyone would buy it. I wouldn't buy my own merch myself. So I think we have to wait until the channel gets a bit bigger to have merch. and also to make the merch actually good. Yes, I made videos on Pocket Planes. Which flight is this? This is the flight from Helsinki in Finland to London, England. Okay, we're tool, why not? Okay, we'll talk about the merch on DMs or something, and then we'll figure it out. Yes, it's the A350 from Helsinki to London. Hello, Fahad Ali. Thank you so much. Welcome to the stream. So as you can see in the distance, we have Helsinki. About 2 million people live there. This has in the B-72. Yeah, they had the details recently with landing gear. Well, I'll try it out when it comes out. So we've got 2 hours 40 minutes. So I'm slow down to 1500, I think. Not yet, maybe. Oh, I just realized we can go up to 42,000 feet and we can play that Atari Breakout. I think we'll play that like in 1 hour, but we'll do that. We'll go to 42,000 feet later on. So we can have the, we can play the game. Probably, I would like to rework the 777W. Although it doesn't really matter. A380, A330, A340. Okay, I would like the 82 reworked. Because A380 currently is good, but it's not that good. And also they should add more airlines for the A380, such as China Southern. Which other airline was there? I think that's the only airline they haven't covered yet. Can I fly from Tokyo to Papeete in Tahiti? Now Papeete is in French Polynesia. With the Air Tahiti Nui 7879. Okay, thank you for the route suggestion. I'll just currently now the way I'm flying routes is if they're showing up on the ATC coverage with traffic, and so yeah, I'm just waiting. If it comes up on the ATC schedule, I'll definitely fly the routes. Which country am I from? Technically, I have Indian ethnicity, so I guess you can say that. Cruising out to Mach 0.74, or we'll be going at Mach 8.82 or something, depends. We'll go. Kemcho Majama, I'm going good. Am I Thai? No, I'm not Thai. Can come easily? I don't know. I mean, I could probably cross the border. Go to New Zealand. New Zealand is amazing. I went there once. I can always see all the best for exams. Oh, what the hell happened right now? why don't I use Discord for live ATC? The reason I don't really is because I don't really know how to use ATC that well, and also because yeah, that's the only reason, I guess. Public exams. Yeah, I heard the board exams there. Thankfully, I don't have to do exams in school. Okay, by the way, this song is Keep Going by Sin Cole. Wait, who turned to visit India? I guess, to other person. I have a feeling I'm gonna crash again. Anyways, 0.78. For the UAE, yeah, UAE is pretty nice. I haven't been to the UAE either. Jay thanks for joining us today. Is it 9 in the USA? I think it is. Do I see Pratham? Yes, I do on Insta. What is it? Finland? Yeah, Finland is also awesome. Okay, we'll probably speed up a bit more. 0.82, I guess. I don't know, not 0.85. I think we'll be a bit too quick. Let's see. I guess we can do 0.85. Make it quicker for everyone. Okay. Mark 0.85. So it's quicker for everyone. We're going to slow down the flight. Try to learn the way they talk. Have I been to Singapore? I've been to Singapore twice. It's a really good place. I made a few videos on my trip to Singapore as well, if you want to watch. But yeah, I've been to Singapore before. It's a really nice place. I want to go there again. But I hate the weather. It's really hot. It's really hot and humid. It's like I probably don't want to live there because the weather is really bad. Okay. Hello, Tom. Yeah, Singapore is awesome. Okay, someone's spamming this Instagram again. Oh my god. Okay, so now we're going to be leaving Finland. There's one moment I was trying to remove this scene. There we go, done. No worries, actually, all the best for your exams. Did I spell that correct? No, I also had to change my spelling, sorry. Sorry. All the best for exams. You can come back later. You don't have to watch the stream if you don't want. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Jared. Okay, we're gonna reach cruise altitude soon, and in about 1 hour when we are flying above Sweden, we'll go up to 42,000 feet, so we can play that Atari Breakout game. Thank you so much, Ines. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. As you, there's pretty much nothing right now. We're just flying over water. So here's the routing. As we can see, we'll be coming in for runway 27 left, not runway 27 right. But yeah, that's the general routing that we're taking today. Do we have ATC? Yes, we have 3 ATC as well. So this is a flight I want to do quite a while. And yeah, am I playing on PC and mobile? Tom, I'm playing... I'm on the iPhone. Cut one engine to go inverted? Probably not today. So here's the first officer's view. We've hit cruising altitude. And so when we cross into London, we will have passed the Greenwich line. So we'll be in the Western Hemisphere when we land. I'll show you that when we get there. Hello, Mr. Curry, welcome back. Love you too, Electric Galaxy. Hello, just a regular Sage, welcome to the stream. Fuel cluster looking good. 0.85 heading 234 degrees. There's pretty much nothing now. I think I'm gonna go 100 feet above. Hello, Sammy Asian Boy, welcome to the stream. Okay, so is there anything? Yes, we will play that. Yes. If you want entertainment, slow down a bit. Back, I'm here struggling with turbulence. There's no turbulence on Infinite Flight. Where's the other guy going? Oh, he's also going to the same way. So I think what I might do is we might slow down a bit. How do I play? So what do you mean, how do I play? I'm not too sure. Welcome, Infinite Flight Philippines. Welcome to the stream. So I think what I'll do is I'll slow down a bit. I think if people want to catch up, they could catch up. Because as I can see, there's quite a few people, maybe they're behind. I'm not too sure. Let me know if you want me to slow down. I'm happy to slow down. Hello Funboy 42. 42, welcome to the stream. Epic Dawn, welcome to the stream. Carlson, welcome to the stream as well. Squad of something? Sure, no worries. Oh, you can send me I guess something on Instagram with a group flight. I'll be happy to join. Because what I'll do now is I'll make a collaborative playlist on Spotify. So if you guys have any suggestions, just add them there. I'm flying Frankfurt to JFK. That's awesome. You're gonna land in 30 minutes. So quick update on where we're flying over. We're flying over the... Yeah, I don't know what area this is. I think it's the Bering Strait. Or the Sea of Finland. Whatever they call it. No, it's the Baltic Sea, I think. Yeah, it might be the Baltic Sea. And also, by the way... Yeah, we're doing good now. Thank you so much to Darius SKIA Gaming who has subscribed as well. And also explain better. It is probably better. I haven't really tried to explain it more well yet. Not the new version with the global flight. We are on the training server. Am I grade 3? Yes, I am grade 3. Because anyways guys, I think what we'll do now is we're gonna take like a 10-minute break from talking. So I think what we'll do now is take a 10-minute break. I'll keep the music up. And I'll turn off the mic now.
They say history is written by the victor's soul. I don't mind playing the villain. Got a pretty girl to the throne. 'Cause the memory's gone, and I can't even run. I gotta win this just to prove to me They say history is written by the victor's soul. I don't mind playing the villain. Got a pretty girl to the throne. 'Cause the memory's gone, and I can't even run. I gotta win this just to prove
हिंदी थोड़ा बोल लेता हूँ, बाकी सब बाद में बोलता हूँ. Hello everyone, I'm back. I'm going to reduce my voice a bit. Okay. Oh, Ladawan, welcome back. Of course, I remember you from last year's. You live in Brisbane. Okay, so let me answer the questions that I missed while I was away. Call QR31. Wow. Which flight is that? QR31. Let me look it up. It's QR31. Oh, Doha to Edinburgh. Oh, that's awesome. It's on the A350, right? I'm pretty sure it's on the A350. Doha to Edinburgh on QR31. Okay, so let me go back and read a few comments. Just give me a moment, please. Because I see my volume is coming up a bit too high. I can reduce it a bit. Okay. Okay. Your last name with Rishi, so it's pronounced as Rishi. Oh. Where am I from? I live in Australia, although I do have Indian ethnicity. Clear down. Oh, come on. Hello, Machin News. Welcome to the stream. LAX to Dubai. Dubai, I have done that before. I've done a flight from Dubai to LA. Dubai to New York. 850 Emirates, so that's a really good route. I think I'll probably fly in the Qatar Airways. But that's also awesome suggestions. The A318, the BA1 flight from London City Airport to JFK. Okay, just give me a moment. I'm again gonna have to read the comments that I missed. Okay, so both of my parents are Indian, so I don't really have any Australian lineage in me. So both my parents are Indian. But I live in Australia. I've been here for like 10 years now. Do I not get bored when I wait for the landing? Not really. Mainly because when I'm flying, I'm doing other things. Just today, because of the live stream, I have to stay on the screen. I have to keep looking at the screen. So maybe that can get boring, but it's not boring. No. No, I'm not half Indian Australian. I have no Australian ethnicity in me. Both of my parents are Indian. But I live in Australia, which is why I guess I have a different speech. What device do I use? I'm using the iPhone 7 Plus today that I'm using to stream, but to make my videos, I'm using the iPad Pro to make the videos. The stream we had yesterday from Singapore to Jakarta, that one was on the iPad. Today is on the iPhone. So you can see like the flight details and everything on the bottom as well, which is why we have the iPhone today. Say Striker 001, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? I haven't done any cargo flights, so I'll think about it. I think I'll wait for like the A350. My English isn't the best. Please don't use my English as your training material. You might struggle, you might fail your classes. Mauritius to London. Mauritius? Mauritius? Oh, Mauritius. Okay, so moving to Australia. Wow. Where in Australia are you moving to? I'm in Melbourne. Infinite Flight Player, thank you. Would you like to fly from Delhi to Dubai? Of course I would. Please DM on Instagram. I'm not sure why the link wouldn't. Oh, Gold Coast. Gold Coast is awesome. It's a really nice place. I've never been there though. Okay, so where I'll be. Okay, so now we have 42,000 feet coming up really soon. Okay, just one moment. Okay, hello. Wait, sorry. Okay. Okay, so I'm back now. Let's see. Ethan Allen, hello. Look me up in approaching. JFK Lufthansa 1732 heavy. Okay. I couldn't see this flight. I think it might be a bit too far away for us to see. So now we're gonna fly over Germany. This is German Deutschland. I'm gonna increase the volume of the music a bit more. Okay, now we're leaving Germany again, and this time we'll. Okay, let's see what the questions are. Tom Harrison, no worries, catch up. I couldn't find the plane though. Yet in some heavies, the reason I'm flying 42,000 feet is because of the game. I'll show you in 1 minute. Where do I learn how to descend and manual descend? It's just experience, I guess. I haven't looked up any guides on how to descend. So I descend based on what I think is the perfect time. I will usually descend 25 minutes before arrival. So that's in about 30 minutes. Air Canada A333. Wow, which route are you flying on the Air Canada A330? Narita to Colombo. Wow, that's our flight. I haven't flown any Japan to Asia. I should though. Okay, I forgot what I was gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna play the game. So here's the Easter egg. So what you could do is just, yeah, this one here, and you can play Atari Breakout. So all you have to do is roll your phone with the accelerometer and then the gyroscope, and you can play. So let me try it out. It's a bit slow, which is why it's not easy to play because it's really slow. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We had a small issue. I'll bring up the screen really soon. Just one moment. I don't know how to speak Spanish. All I can say is despacito. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know why that happened. Yeah, so you can play this game. I just want to show it to you. Yeah, so you can play this game. Oh, your dad's a pilot for Air Canada. That's awesome. It must be awesome being a pilot, flying like going anywhere you want. I guess the only way I can fly the whole world is if I play Infinite Flight. Okay, let's see your questions. Hello Sumin, welcome to the stream. Hello JJ, oh that's awesome, WestJet. WestJet is an awesome airline. I wish they flew to Australia. Where did I learn how to descend and stuff? I did not, I just played a lot more of Infinite Flight and that's how I learned it. Hello Dong, I can't even say your name, sorry. This is a fun fact, from flying from the east, use odd heights. Yes, wait, even odd. I'm pretty sure when you fly to the west direction, you will fly on the even, which is why we're flying at 42,000 feet. I'm pretty sure when you fly west, you fly even. When you fly to the east, you fly odd. Oh, that's awesome. Flight attendant and pilot. Hello. Okay, I don't know where Og is. Let me see where Og is. So we're currently flying over Deutschland. I'm turning on my strobes for now. I don't think we need it right now. Okay, let me see where Og Airport is. Oh, it's in Hawaii. Okay. Calgary to Hawaii. Maui. Oh, okay, got it. Striker. So ACAN 7879. So I'm pretty sure, like, which base does he fly from? So I'm guessing it's from Toronto, somewhere like that. Ah, okay, got Toronto. So Wank, okay. Cool. That's a really good route, Toronto to Vancouver. I've flown like 3 times. And yeah, it's awesome. But Calgary is really good. Yes, good. So let's track Harry on a flight radar. He's on the A350. But I could track him anyway. Let's have a look. I wish I could show you the thing. The reason I couldn't show you any in the live flight is because my Chrome wouldn't show up on OBS, which is what I'm using to stream. It just shows up as a black screen, which is why I couldn't do anything. Okay, no worries. Hey Abhijit, welcome to the stream. Let's see Harry's flight. Oh yes, we can see Harry's flight right now, QR31. It's currently just over Newcastle in England. And it's going up to Edinburgh. What day do I usually upload? There's no set upload. I just upload whenever I could. So there's no set schedule. Although I should have a schedule, but I don't have one yet. Okay, I actually want to fly to Edinburgh once. I think I'll try that. I'll definitely try to fly there again. Oh, for the first time. I've never flown there before. Apparently it's like a really nice area. And now we have the A350, so we can probably fly there for like a live stream. What's my local time? 4:26 p.m. Okay, let me check the stream again. Just to see it's working and my voice is coming in properly. So now we're flying the black screen. I don't know why I go with black screen again. So if you want to see Germany, hey Lee, welcome back. I thought we like other YouTubers. What does that mean? I'm not too sure. Mexico is awesome. Okay, I was thinking of flying Mexico today, from LA to Mexico City, but in the end we decided Helsinki to London instead of flying to Mexico. I think we'll fly to Mexico in the future. Really, Lee, welcome back. Tried to fly BA, but it crashed. Oh, that sucks. 1:26 a.m. Welcome. Came back from a long shower. Long showers are the best, especially when it's cold. How do I get the Airbus A350? I'm pretty sure you have to get the live subscription to get the A350. Swimming. Swimming competition, I guess. Okay, so what else is there? Look at flight track, I'm all with Boston approaching. Sydney to St. Martin, that's a bit too long. Although I've actually done a video from Sydney to St. Martin before. I did a vid long before 2013 though. When will I end the stream? St. Helena? Oh yes, that's a good airport. The reason we probably couldn't do it is because the airport is too big. Hello, iGamer fellow, welcome to the stream, Adam. St. Helena? Yes, it's a good airport. The reason we probably couldn't do it is because the airport is too big. Hello, iGamer fellow, welcome to the stream, Adam. How to get the live description? Oh, you have to pay for it. There's no way to get it for free. Because it's a server game, it's based on the internet, and you couldn't really get an APK for it. Yes, I will get the Simulator 2020 for Xbox. I couldn't get for PC because I have a really old PC, but I'll definitely get it for Xbox. So I have an Xbox One, the original one. Okay.
Feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight,
Okay, let's see what else we can do. So we're flying with Germany right now. So you can see like farmland in Germany. It's really green. So we got one ATC at London. Oh, actually, Tommy. He was here yesterday as well for the last stream we had. And he's again today. How much do I pay for it? I pay $15 for it. But it depends on the country you're from. The prices are different. Where are we flying to? We're flying. Oh, okay, he's talking about that. I don't know, we'll see when it comes out. When am I gonna use the Dreamliner? Probably soon. I really like the A350 to be honest. It's a really good aircraft. Anyways, we've got about 10 more minutes. 10 minutes until we start descending. Oh, about the animated maps, that's like the most frequently asked question I get. Like every single day someone has that question for me. I get that from iMovie on Mac. So iMovie on Mac, there's an option to create like a map from like one place to another, which is what I use. And I use that since a lot of people, maybe some people don't know where certain places are. So I use it and it just helps to make contextualize the destination we're flying to for the video. So every time I do a flight into A350, when I go for the first flap extension, my game crashes. Okay, I'm not sure why that should happen. That shouldn't be happening. I think you have to clear your scenery cache or something like that. There have to be other reasons because that's really uncommon. Behind us in the F-22. Where's it? F32, F22. I don't see it. Oh, it's down. Oh, there he is. IFC Tommy. So we're still like a long way away, so I think, yeah. We're still a long way away. Madrid to San Juan in Puerto Rico. I'll think about it. The main reason I need to do flights is if there's ATC coverage and also traffic. So if it comes up in the ATC schedule or FNF, I'll do it. Do I like Infinite Flight or X-Plane? I like Infinite Flight more because, well, I'm talking about Infinite Flight and X-Plane on mobile, not the PC one. So at least a mobile Infinite Flight is a lot better than even Aerofly. The only reason I say that is because there's a big community and also a lot of long haul flying is better on these games because of the whole globe, and also because there's a multiplayer. But in terms of graphics and everything else, I like Aerofly. Approaching LAX from Singapore, 14 hours, I'll never get back. Yeah, that's... Yeah, I don't know why a game crashes. It always sucks when that happens, honestly. I get really mad myself. So now we're flying over the Netherlands. Try Cape Town to Johannesburg. Definitely. I should have a flight recorded from Johannesburg to Cape Town. Would be like a really long approach because the ATC has a lot of traffic at Cape Town. So I'll definitely make it. But the thing is, I have about 15 videos that I have done. There are 15 flights that I have flown, but I haven't recorded them and uploaded them yet. So it's gonna take some time for me to do that. Motor wings. We had that issue again. Let me solve it before. Sorry guys, I don't know why this keeps crashing. Sorry guys, we ever had a small issue again, it keeps disconnecting. Just give me some time, I'll bring it back up. Let's, I'm gonna have to find a better app. Okay, I don't know why this is happening so many times again. Okay, now we're back. Okay, now we're back. Sorry about that. The game, the thing that I'm using to mirror the app keeps crashing. Now flying over the Netherlands. We're coming up to Amsterdam. So we're gonna start descending in 4 minutes. Hello, Stain. Welcome to the stream. So they're flying over Amsterdam. This is the cockpit view they get. KLM 8330, there's no KLM, oh, A350. That's a really long route. I would definitely do it if there's ATC coverage. Hello Max, welcome to the stream. So we're currently flying so I'm turning on my seatbelts now since we're going to be in turn on my strobes because we're going to be starting descent soon and we need all the people in the seats. Here's Amsterdam. So zoom in. Here's the airport, Schiphol. 18 hours, I could do it. I'll do it if there's ATC coverage. Hello, yeah, Shady. Welcome to the stream. Okay, I'll think about that flight. Thank you so much for the suggestion. Amsterdam to Sydney. Speaking of Amsterdam, here's Amsterdam. How long is this flight? 2 hours, 45 minutes. A1079. Yep. The plane crash effect will look like in Simulator 2020. I have no idea. I'm guessing when it crashes, it'll probably just end the flight. I'm not too sure. I'm not keeping up with the news right now. Hello Max, oh that's Finland, nice. We're flying Finnair today. From Helsinki to London. I should do Auckland to Honolulu. Oh, Mauritius, South Africa. That's a really nice route. I flew Johannesburg to Mauritius before on the A350. I was gonna make that video instead. But what happened is that when we approached Mauritius, my game crashed. So I couldn't make that video. Moscow to Delhi. Nice suggestion, thank you so much. Although that route by Air India was discontinued on the 787. But we can still fly it. Okay, so I descend in 1 minute. How long have I been playing Infinite Flight? I've been playing Infinite Flight since 2012 or 2013. What am I recording on? I'm recording on my iPhone and using OBS as my streaming. Can I do a video with Ryanair versus Qantas? I can see why I had a really hard landing on Ryanair. Although I don't think I'll do those sort of videos because my video editing software, iMovie, is not really good with titles. So I'm gonna have to wait for that. had good air traffic controls? Not really, because the ones on Expert Server are like really good. They have to do training and everything. Okay, time to start descent into England. We're 42,000 feet, so I'm gonna have to slow down. Let's go with 12,000 feet for now. Technically, yes, Australian, but both of my parents are Indian. Why am I not using my iPad? I used the iPad yesterday. Today I'm using the iPhone because if you remember, like when you crop in on the iPad, you couldn't see everything properly, which is why I'm using the iPhone today, so you can see everything. Am I gonna face crosswinds while landing? Let me have a look. So here's The Hague, Rotterdam right there, Amsterdam in the distance. Okay, so let me read the chat. Hello Josh, welcome back to the stream. How are you doing? Am I gonna do face crosswinds? Oh yeah, that's what I'm gonna check. We have 3 knots at 0 degrees, which is nothing. Verification error. When am I doing a face reveal? Not for a while. I'll do one in the future. So we can see England in the distance now. Expert training. So how long has the stream been? Let me check. So we have been going for 2 hours, 24 minutes now. What is transition to? Basically just means if you have permission to go to flight level 35,000 feet, I think. I'm not really a pilot, so I don't know. Hello Robin, welcome to the stream. Do another one tomorrow? I might do another stream tomorrow as well. I'm not too sure. How many landings do I have? I have about How many do I have? 357. What's my most favorite flight? I'm not really sure. I think I did a flight from Dubai to London before. I really like that flight, but it crashed. Are we doing another one tomorrow? Maybe not, I'm not too sure. Because I have to do some study. So UTC, so now we are in the cockpit. Okay, so have a look again. As you can see, we're approaching the Greenwich Mean Line. 483 going. So everything's looking good. Can I do a series of short flights? That's a really good idea. I was thinking of doing like a short flight with like a stopover in between, but I haven't done it yet. Can I do a stream at the same time? I was waiting at school watching you. The reason I do it at this time is because this is the only time I really get to like stream and also talk in my streams. I could stream anytime I want, but like the thing is I wouldn't be able to talk. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate it. How many times have I been banned? I've been banned 2 times. So if you see here, I've been banned 2 times. One of it was because I didn't fly straight out of LAX, so I got banned from that. And I also got banned before. Okay, let me think. I forgot. Since you live in Auckland, can I do a series of domestic flights in New Zealand? That's a nice suggestion, so I could probably do something like Auckland to Wellington to Christchurch to Queenstown. I could do that, just need some traffic. So I'm gonna hide some nav aids. I could keep the airspace, I just don't want the approaches. Is the expert server extremely harsh? No, the expert server is not harsh. It's not that bad. But just make sure that when they warn you, sometimes the ATCs will warn you and tell you that you're not doing something correctly, then just follow the instructions. Sometimes you have to follow the instructions, but it's not that hard. Once you get experience, you wouldn't have any problems. You panic when you go first violation, yeah. Favorite jet? A350. When did I start YouTubing? I started in 2013. Okay, Pratham, you don't have to tell me about the face reveal. You already know. Okay, now we can slow down to 280 knots. So I'll be slowing down to 280 knots. Okay, so we're gonna slow down. 280 knots. So we're gonna slow down 40 knots. Okay, slow down 40 knots to 280. We can see England in the distance. Some crosswinds. The only thing I'm struggling on is getting to grade 2s because I'm getting too caught up in the landings, so I can just crash. Right, you can find airports, I guess, or you can fly 69 now. You can find some airports which have really low winds. Have we slowed down yet? Okay, we have. Where I live in Australia. I want to chat in the stream. No one's ever to chatty in anything, honestly. And they can always go around. Yes, that song by Swiss. Melbourne? Yes, I live in Melbourne. Hey, Garrett. Going to solo, practice. Yeah, you have to practice sometimes. Do you think that devs should add terminals to IF? Of course they should. But the main reason they don't is because of the limitations of the processing power. I'm 8. Yeah, I'm actually 8 years old. We should probably slow down, I think. Well, maybe not. Hello, Om. Welcome to the stream. Don't Let Me Down. I couldn't play it, sorry, because of the copyright. I want to get married. Yeah, right. 13 hours of landing. I'm running low on fuel. I might have to do emergency landing. Wait, yeah. Running low on fuel. Where's Tommy? Here. The longest flight I've ever done, Sydney to London, I guess. Just give me a moment, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Hey Nettie, welcome back to the stream. Yeah, I'm talking now. Okay, let me read the questions again. Okay. We'll be crossing the line soon. I like Qantas, yes, I like Qantas. It's a really good airline. We're taking runway 27 left. I'm gonna start slowing down, I guess, to 250 knots. Jet Airways is coming back. I didn't know that. How old we loved aviation? I'm not too sure, to be honest. Vistara, yeah, Vistara is really good. Hopefully it comes up in airline. Where are we parking? I don't know. Let me check. Actually, let me quickly check where we're going to be parking. Just one moment. I'm just trying to see where we have to park at the gate. Okay, we're going at the terminal, the Queen's Terminal, Terminal 2. Yeah, we're going at Terminal 3. Terminal 3, Gate 19. Alright, time to bring the flaps to 1. We're now in London. Welcome to London.
Ordinary, they really are. Ordinary people closer. Ordinary, they really are. Ordinary people closer.
Qantas and Lufthansa, I like Qantas more. I'm pretty sure you guessed it. Stream from world's biggest airport to world's smallest airport. The world's biggest airport, that is Istanbul, I think, right? Or Beijing. Flights to Brazil, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna fly to Brazil. I'll do more flights to Brazil when the ATC coverage is there. Puerto Rico. Okay, London City Airport and then refuel. Okay, no worries, take your time. How often do I live stream? I live stream when I have holidays, usually. So live stream like once every 2-3 days. Oh, no, 2-3 months.
Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy, boarding in active airspace. Please contact London Heathrow approach on 120.4. London Heathrow approach. Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy.
Runway 27 left on the ILS.
Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy, 8 nautical miles northwest of London south of 10,600 feet. Requesting miles approach runway 27 left to London Heathrow. Now for Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike 347. Expect Memphis to the Isles approach. Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy. Expect Memphis to the Isles approach runway 27 left to London Heathrow.
Okay, so now I'm going to turn on the music.
Miles north of Thurrock at 9,500 feet. Requesting visual approach any runway at London Heathrow.
Roger, Alpha Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike 347.
Roger, Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy. Finnair 952, expect Memphis
What
to
made me
the
choose
Isles
Finnair?
approach
Because I
runway
really
27
want to
left
fly
London
this route from
Heathrow.
Helsinki to London.
Finnair 952.
London Heathrow approach, 24 kilo, with you.
24 kilo, radar contact.
Okay, reduce my speed to 230.
Radar contact.
24 kilo is 6 nautical miles east of Stapleford at 9,300 feet. Requesting
Get rid
ILS
of navs.
approach runway 27 left at London Heathrow.
November 576 India Sierra is 5 nautical miles west of London south in that 3,500
Okay, out of range.
feet.
How often do I fly?
Visual
On
approach
infinite
any
flight?
runway at London City.
Maybe 5-6 times.
24 kilo, expect vectors for the Isles approach runway 27 left at London Heathrow.
Roger, 24 kilo.
Alpha Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike 347, descend and maintain 4000, maintain 4000 until established on the localizer, clear Isles runway 27 left approach.
Descend and maintain 4000. Maintain 4000 until established on the localizer.
Okay, slow down,
Cleared
210
ILS runway
knots.
27 left. Alpha Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike 347.
Roger, November 576 India Sierra.
Yeah, you can refuel when you're flying solo, but then there's no fun in flying solo because you're just flying by yourself. Nav and heading mode. Heading mode is you do manually. Nav is it'll go through your waypoints for you. Okay, this is my favorite song on the playlist.
You're in an active airspace. Please contact London Heathrow approach on 120.4.
Where's the slope marker? The slope marker is on your right side. On the right side. Okay, out of range. So here's London.
Kilo 952, you're in an active airspace. Please contact London Heathrow approach on 120.4.
24 Kilo, request frequency change.
Butter the F out of the landing, like.
24
I'll
Kilo,
try.
Contact London Heathrow Tower
How
on
much do I earn from
118.5.
streaming? I don't really make money from
Contact
streaming.
London Heathrow Tower on 118.5. 24 Kilo.
Kilo 952, do not exceed 220 knots.
Do not exceed 220 knots. Finna 952.
Alpha Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike 347, descend and maintain 4000, maintain 4000 until established on the localizer, clear Isles runway 27 left approach.
Descend and maintain 4000. Maintain 4000 until established on the localizer. Cleared ILS runway 27 left. Alpha Foxtrot.
Okay, you're gonna
Kilo
start
Lima
reducing
Mike
the speed to 180.
347.
Kilo 952, descend and maintain 4000, maintain 4000 until established on the localizer, clear Isles runway 27 left approach.
Okay, got it. Nav 1 is the source. Now you can see I have to go down on the guide slope.
Descend and maintain 4000. Maintain 4000 until established on the localizer. Cleared Isles runway 27 left. Finna 952.
Did you guys know that the other voice they get for the HCC actually has my name on it? So you can see the Indian voice has Rishi on it, which is pretty amazing, but I hate the accent.
Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike 347, contact London Heathrow Tower on 118.5.
So here's London. You can see the Olympic Park.
Alpha 026 is 4 nautical miles north
Canary
of
Wharf.
11,000 feet. Requesting Isles approach any runway at London Heathrow.
Contacting London Heathrow Tower on 118.5. Alpha Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike 347.
Alpha India Victor Alpha 026. Expect vectors for the Isles approach runway 27 left at London Heathrow. Figure 952. Do not exceed 160 knots.
Do not exceed 160 knots. Finna 952.
Okay, I'm gonna slow down again. 160 knots.
Contact London Heathrow Unicum on 122.8. Roger. Alpha India Victor Alpha 026.
We're coming up on Heathrow. Okay, it's offline. We'll connect to the tower instead. Basically, I'm coming in final.
London Heathrow Unicum, Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy is on final, runway 27 left.
London Heathrow Unicum, Alpha Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike
Okay, now we have
347 is on
gotten
final,
on the-
runway 27 right.
London Heathrow Unicom, 24 Kilo is on final, runway 27 left.
Okay, sorry guys, I couldn't really answer your questions right now because I'm trying to concentrate on the landing. But yes, I do enjoy streaming quite a bit. Oh, you crashed just because of the runway. What? Why? Why is the ILS not showing up properly? Even though I know that this is too high. Time to get my heading in. Making a slight right onto the approach. Wait, 27 right? Did I pick 27 right? I was supposed to pick 27 left. Oh, it's here. Yeah, no reason. No wonder why. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this now. Get onto the other runway. Okay, let's have the gear down. What? Why is this no charging? My flap settings are too high for my distance. They're full. I'm gonna reach the speed later on. I know I'm going a bit too fast for what I'm doing. Alright, so now we're gonna line up really. Reduce my speed now. 140 again.
Romeo India Sierra Hotel India
I'm not
Heavy,
making a to go around, sorry.
Maintain traffic runway 27 left. Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy is on final runway 27 left. Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy, Roger. Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy, number 1.
Thank you.
Runway 27 left, cleared to land. Number 1, cleared to land. Runway 27 left.
So I'll be reducing my
Romeo
speed to
India Sierra
135.
Hotel India Heavy. Lufthansa 1971, number 2, runway 27 left, cleared to land. Lufthansa 1971, maintain slowest practical speed.
Maintain slowest practical speed. Lufthansa 1971.
What the heck just happened?
Alpha Foxtrot Kilo Lima Mike 347, contact London Heathrow.
Hopefully
ground
no
on
one crashes into me.
121.7.
Contacting London Heathrow ground on 121.7. Alpha Foxtrot Kilo
Alright.
Lima
Oh,
Mike
no, 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 no.
347.
One 130 knots. Okay.
500, 400, 300,
London Heathrow Tower, Alpha India Victor Alpha 026, inbound on the ILS runway 27 left.
200,
Alpha India Victor Alpha 026, maintain slowest practical speed. Alpha India Victor Alpha 026, number 1, runway 27 left, cleared to land. Number 1, cleared to land, runway 27 left, Alpha India Victor Alpha 026.
20, 10,
I'm not too sure if I landed in the zone. I'll do my best.
Wilco, Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy.
So I'm gonna have to quickly get off the runway here. But I think he's already landed. Oh, yes. Okay, we have the whole. Yep. Just avoided a disaster.
London Heathrow Tower.
So we're parking right there where the finesse is.
Ready for takeoff at runway 27 left. Departing straight out.
I haven't even seen my landing yet. I'm gonna have to see it later on in the replay.
Line up and wait runway 27 left.
Line up
Flaps
and wait,
retracting.
runway 27 left. Air China 787.
Contact ground. Taxi to parking.
London Heathrow ground.
Oh, no,
Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy. Request transfer.
Sorry for the lag.
Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy.
What?
Taxi to
Why?
runway 27 right. Contact tower when ready.
And this is why I don't really follow the instructions of
Taxi into runway
training server
275,
ATC.
Romeo India Sierra
because it tells you to do
Hotel
random
India
things.
Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy. Continue straight ahead.
Okay, but now
Continue
because
ahead. Romeo
of this
India
guy
Sierra
there,
Hotel India Heavy.
I'm gonna have to go the other side. Oh yeah, he's on the flight as well. Hopefully, I should have. Okay, he's taking the other side. Thank you.
Speedbird 165. Turn right next taxiway.
Sorry for the lag. There's also lag on my phone as well.
Taxiway, Speedbird 165.
Thank you. Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy. Speedbird 165. Turn left next taxiway.
Left on the next taxiway, Speedbird 165.
Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy.
Turning.
Turn right next taxiway. Right on the next taxiway. Romeo India Sierra Hotel India Heavy.
London Heathrow Ground, Lufthansa 1.
So our flight time was 2 hours 30 minutes.
Taxi to parking.
Lufthansa 1971. Taxi to parking.
Taxiing to parking, Lufthansa 1971.
London Heathrow Ground.
How do I stream after I reach the gates? Okay, after I reach the gates, I'll read all the questions.
Delta Hotel Lima 214. Pushback approved. Expect runway 27 left.
Pushback approved. Delta Hotel Lima 214.
London Heathrow Ground. November 744 Yankee Quebec. Ready for pushback.
Speedbird 165, request frequency change.
Okay, I've got a gate right here,
Speedbird 165. Contact London Heathrow Tower on 118.
which is where I'm going to be going.
Contacting London Heathrow Tower on 118.5, Speedbird 165.
November 744 Yankee Quebec. Pushback approved. Expect runway 27 left. Pushback approved.
Well, I think this is a gate is a bit small for the A350. Doesn't matter. Oh, I can't.
London Heathrow Ground. Delta Hotel Lima 214. Ready to taxi.
Delta Hotel Lima 214. Taxi to runway 27 left. Contact tower when ready.
Taxi.
Okay, we're gonna go to the other side now
left. Delta Hotel Lima 214.
because of what happened here.
Delta Hotel Lima 214. Contact London Heathrow Tower on 118.5.
Hello, MP Gamer. Welcome to the stream.
London Heathrow Ground is now closed. Good day.
Good day. See ya. Oh, he's gone now? Okay, I'm gonna park again.
Frequency change approved. Charlie Zulu Victor Alpha 111. Good
Oh,
day.
it's Boss Gamer.
Speedbird 165. Line up and wait runway 27 left.
Line up and wait runway 27 left, Speedbird 165.
Alpha India Victor Alpha 026. Exit runway when able. Contact ground on the taxiway. Wilco, Alpha India Victor Alpha 026.
Trying to make sure we're lined up.
Victor Alpha 026. Exit runway when able and contact ground. Please expedite. 165.
Okay.
Runway 27 left. Cleared for immediate takeoff. Fly runway heading into or above 3,000 feet. Wilco, Alpha India Victor Alpha 026. Cleared for
Turn off the seatbelts.
Runway 27 left. Speedbird
Turn off the
165.
engines. Turn off the seatbelt sign.
Request permission to cross runway
Or you
27
turn off
left.
the switches. Off. So thank you to everyone who came today. Now I'm gonna start reading your questions that you had.
Delta
For me.
Lima 214. Ready for takeoff at runway 27 left. Departing north.
Okay, let's see all the questions. There's so many things in the chat. I haven't read it.
Runway 27 left.
Line up and wait runway 27 left. Delta Hotel Lima 214.
I have a bad feeling about this landing. You're jinxing me before I land.
Requesting departure to the east. Speedbird 165. Departure to the east is approved.
Tuvalu Island, okay, I'll definitely fly there in the future.
Good day. Speedbird 165.
It's a little more speed, perfect. Can I explain how I stream?
Delta Hotel Lima 214. Runway 27 left. Cleared for takeoff. Fly runway heading into Ladora.
Thank you for the flight. We had
Cleared for takeoff. Runway 27 left. Delta Hotel Lima 214.
Boss Game of IT.
London Heathrow Tower. Air China 787 is 8 nautical miles to the north at
Got
8,100
Pratham here as well.
inbound for landing. Requesting runway 27 left.
So here's the ATC for Heathrow. Okay, let me answer all the questions. Can I explain how I stream? I could explain it, although I think if you can add me on Instagram, it's a lot easier for me to explain there. But I use I mirror my screen onto my PC and then I use OBS to put on YouTube from there. Okay, what else?
Air France 1234.
Approach speed should have been
To cross runway
140. Okay, the reason I didn't have a 140 approach speed is yesterday, some person told me, DevKick Flies, he told me that I'm going too quickly, too fast for full flaps, which is why I went a bit slow. See you, Lee, thank you for joining. How do I make my videos so amazing? Thank you so much. It's with all your support. That's the only reason. Thank you, Daniel. We'll see you on the next slide. Hey, Josh.
London Heathrow Tower. November 744 Yankee Quebec.
What will be the next flight? I'm not too sure what the next flight is.
Departing straight out.
Guys, do check out Josh's channel as well. I'm not too sure. Let's see what he does. Flight radar 24. But what happened?
Quebec. Cross runway 9 right.
Okay, Prathamis is coming in onto the tarmac.
November 744 Yankee Quebec. Continue taxi. Continue taxi.
Okay, so is everyone here?
744
Oh yeah, cargo doors. Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
London Heathrow Tower. November 744 Yankee
Hello,
Quebec.
Vash. Welcome to the stream.
Takeoff at runway 9 right. Departing straight out.
How do I become a mod? Yes, if you're active, you can become a mod. Thank you to everyone who came today for today's flight.
744 Yankee Quebec. Please check assigned runway.
Thank you to everyone who came today. Really appreciate it. Oh, landing replay. You want to see the replay?
November 744 Yankee Quebec.
If you guys want, we can see the replay.
Clearance before taking off. November 744 Yankee Quebec. Exit runway.
See you, Max. Thank you for joining today's stream.
Expedite. Wilco, November 744 Yankee.
Let me just make sure everyone has landed.
London Heathrow Tower. Air China 787 is 7 nautical miles to the east.
Alright guys, so see you. Thank you for joining today's flight.
Inbound for landing.
See you soon. Some people want to see the landing replay, so we'll show the landing replay. And then we'll be on our way. Okay, so we're gonna quickly show the landing. Yes, definitely suggest some flights on Instagram. Okay, so let's see the landing replay really quick. I'm gonna play some Spotify until it's gonna take some while. It's gonna take 5 more minutes. Okay, let's see what song we can play. Okay, the replay's up.
Yeah.
Let's go to the landing.
Unknown brain. Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming it's cool.
Okay, let's see the landing. Oh wow. Landing was better than I was expecting. Okay, it was a bit slow. So I flared a bit too much. I just missed the landing zone as well. Or we landed straight on. It was pretty nice landing, I guess. It's my favorite, I guess my best. Okay, I live in Melbourne. Okay, let's see another view. Alright, so anyways, so guys, thank you so much for watching today's live stream. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye. So I'm gonna end the stream now.